Last week on Sports Status, Cole and I revealed our top eight. Our bottom eight from number 25 all the way down to number 32. They revealed um, all of our teams from worst to number 25. So, what is our number 17 to 24? Find out later today on the show. But just for a quick refresher, I'll go through and repeat them all again. For me, my worst 25 are the Chicago Bears, the Houston Texans, Seattle Seahawks, Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers, Giants, Lions, and then the Jacksonville Jaguars. Cole's number 32 all the way to number 25 was the New York Jets, the New York Giants, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Miami Dolphins, the New Orleans Saints, the Washington Commanders, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Cleveland Browns in that order. Again, from number 32 all the way to number 25. So what is the what is the number 24 to number 17? Find out later on in the show. Also, Edge has a new stable. It's coming out with a new stable for WWE for about a month now. It's been Damian Priest and Edge. But then, when the WrestleMania Backlash pay-per-view came out, Rhea Ripley has joined the stable. Thoughts on that? Thoughts on that and thoughts on their rival? Find out right after the quick intro.
Hey, I'm straight up off the block, hopped in the phone and pushed the top back. I've been hustling for a long time and I can't stop that. Big like I'm that, best believe it, and them all back. Yeah, I be ballin' all the time, I'm point guard and a quarterback.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Status Podcast. This is your host, Nate the Great. Later on today, about in 20 minutes or so, I will be having a special guest come on. Same special guest that appeared in last week's episode. Coley Turner, he will be covering on. He's probably upset after the Dallas Mavericks lost in a blowout to the Golden State Warriors. He'll be going on in about 20 minutes to talk about that. Also to cover, again, like I said before the intro, his power rankings from number 17 to number 24. But first, lots of, news. Yeah, it's not really new now. A little late to cover it, but Edge has a new stable. Right now, they're Rhea Ripley. Never mind. He's not coming on in about 20 minutes. He's actually on now. So, Cole, how are things going on over in Texas? Can you hear me? Well, okay, while he gets his microphone situation, Can you hear me now? I'm not picking up anything from your side. Well, if those
Hello.
that are... All right, can you hear me now?
What is
Okay, now he's muted. If you're in the comments section, if you can hear me, please let me know. But, so Edge has a new stable. Like I was talking about, Rhea Ripley is in it, and so is Damian Priest. It said on air that he is recruiting. All right, now are you able to hear me? Chuck Thomas, he says I can hear you. Oh, Cole's the one who's having technical difficulties. He said it in the private chat. So as he gets his situation figured out, there's rumors. You know, he's been recruiting on air on WWE that he's looking for more people to join his stable, the Judgment Day. I like where things are going, except for the fact that Live for Brutality was so short. But now here's my question. Well, one, who's it going to be? A lot of people are saying that it could be Paige. More people on the women's side in that stable. What about, and then another rumor besides Paige was Tommaso Ciampa. I like that idea about both of them. Tommaso Ciampa being in NXT, Triple H was the guy to send them off into the WWE main roster. But hold on, I see a comment. Okay, Cole says now let's try it. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Sorry about that. My microphone was being a bitch.
No worries. So, have you been following up and onto the WWE?
No, I have not recently.
So, Edge has a new stable, and there's a rumor about the new stable. New stable is basically adding in a fourth member. In my
Who is that
personal
fourth
opinion,
member?
my personal opinion, I think that Tommaso Ciampa should be that fourth member, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think it would be a smart move if they decide to go with 5. I think they should probably bring in both, because I think that would put more hype on the women's tag team division, because that hasn't been really talked about a lot lately, especially I think Liv for Brutality was so short, to be honest with you. And then there's been this whole issue with Naomi and Sasha Banks. I think that really they should bring in both to have make Paige and Rhea Ripley a tag team. But to be honest, if they bring in both, then maybe they put in 5 people. If they put in at least 4, make that make that stable a 4-person stable on the other side, there's a possibility maybe Miz could be thrown in to that. That's what I would do. I mean, yes, Miz doesn't have a lot of experience being put as the babyface. In fact, in his WWE career, I think he's only been a babyface once, and that was when his child was born. But I think really if you put one stable having 4 members, I think really you should put another having 4. That's just my quick thought on that. I know you said that you really haven't been paying too much attention to WWE, but do you have any thoughts on what I just said?
I think whatever works. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
if it works out, don't break it.
That's true. But let's move on. Let's move on to another sport. Staying away from the WWE topics for a little bit. Let's go in and talk about the Western Conference Finals for the NBA. Warriors gentlemen swept the Dallas Mavericks. Now you're a big Mavericks fan, so I'm gonna give you probably the big screen. And now's your time to rant about your Dallas Mavericks and your thoughts on the loss.
Can we just start with our defense?
Well, there's one thing I want you to mention. What trades or free agent signings do you think that the Dallas Mavericks should make to make your team better?
I was actually talking about this since I work on a bus. I've been talking about this with my driver in between the routes. I was thinking we should sign Zach LaVine to give Luka that extra help.
I'm not mad about that, actually. I was saying the same thing. I said the same thing on for those that follow Pride's podcast. I made a guest appearance last Monday, and I mentioned the exact same thing. Although I'm also on, so I'm gonna take the solo layout. I was saying the same thing, but I think that if you bring in Zach LaVine, there's one other person that I would put in, mainly because he can play. I wouldn't put him in as a center, but maybe put in him as a power forward, maybe. This dude that I'm about to mention grew up in Texas. In fact, the high school that I went to was in the same division of where he graduated, and that's Miles Turner. Miles Turner graduated in high school in Texas, so he knows the area very well.
Yeah, I remember.
Maybe put him. I know you said you're a Pacers fan as well. I mean, would you like that?
Yeah.
As a Pacers fan, would you think that he's been really helping your team out a lot lately?
I honestly wouldn't care. Whenever I saw him with the Pacers, he sort of had I want to say a bad pace markage. Because whenever he get the ball, he would, about once every few possessions, he turned the ball over. So that's the main issue I think he struggles with. And just from the 2 games I went to last season, which were the Pacers against the Knicks and the Pacers against the Jazz.
What if you put him as a 6-man for the Mavericks?
A 6-man? I think that could possibly work out.
Yeah.
But honestly, he and Dwight Powell will have to fight for that spot because I don't think Dwight Powell is really a good starter at all for Dallas.
That is true.
And especially another 6-man I can see is Reggie Bullock, even though he's been having some issues.
Yeah. I think Miles might get that spot over Reggie. And, Chuck Thomas, he brings up a good point. Miles Turner is a role player, and he's too inconsistent. So I think that's maybe why he didn't get the starter position for the Pacers.
Even though he did start the games I went to.
Luka needs Kawhi. No, I don't. I don't agree. I don't agree with Rudy Gobert. And LeBron, I don't think so either. I don't agree with Gobert, especially because
Gobert would require so much money.
That's true. Gobert would need so much money, but their strength is playing aggressive small ball, and Gobert wouldn't fit that.
I think we just need a center who could play defense.
Kawhi would put in some of the defense for you guys, but Kawhi would put in some of the defense for you, so I wouldn't mind that.
I would love Kawhi to come to Dallas. I got some major respect for that dude, especially winning Toronto a championship.
And Chuck saying Luka needs a score. Yeah, a 2-point scorer, not a 3-point scorer.
I think what needs to happen is Dallas needs to focus on their 2-point shot instead of 3-point shot.
I agree.
The 3-point shot, once you hit the 3 points, you're going to fall in love.
Mm-hmm.
And guess who said that?
Who?
I believe it was Charles Barkley or somebody else.
Charles Barkley has been funny lately.
I know, he's hilarious.
He said something, and if the Yankees make the playoffs, I will make the same comment. He said that he hates Golden State Warriors fans so much that he's going to predict the Golden State Warriors to lose games. In fact, he picked the Mavericks to win because of how much he hates Golden State Warriors fans.
You know what he said to Golden State Warriors fans when it was during a post game conference, but like he put out his Mavericks jersey, and he was like, "You suck too."
He said, in fact, he said that he thinks that Mavericks, the Golden State Warriors, he thinks that they have a better roster than the Mavericks, but he will not predict the Golden State Warriors to win the Western Conference Finals because of how much he hates the fans.
Yes, Golden State does have a better roster than Dallas. I will admit that.
Now, moving on to
the Eastern Conference Finals.
The Eastern Conference Finals, I think
Celtics won today.
Celtics won because of their defense. I don't think there's another way to put that.
Yeah.
Celtics, it was a 7-game series against Miami, and they have been able to stop the Miami's roster. In fact, the only game that, in fact, every game, 2 out of the 3 games that Miami won this series, it was because they were able to put multiple people in that game to have at least 20 plus points. The only game there was one game where the Celtics' weakness, I guess, really showed in that series, and that's turning the ball over.
Yeah, I noticed that.
We talked about it last week. Celtics had 23 turnovers in the game against Miami. I think it was game 3, maybe 4.
And today, Boston had only 13 turnovers as opposed to Miami's 10. But here's what Miami did wrong. Miami had a weakness in the 3-point line in today's game. From what I'm reading, Boston had 34% shooting rate from the 3. Meanwhile, Miami only had 20%.
And Chuck Thomas is saying Brad Stevens does Brad Stevens deserve credit? He couldn't do it as a coach, but now he's getting props, SMH. To be honest, yes. Yes, and I'm only saying that because even though he can't do it as a coach, he's playing a different role.
Who does Brad Stevenson coach for?
Celtics, he used to until about last year. Now he's the GM for that team.
Well, whatever he's doing appears to be working.
And exactly. Because it appears to be working for the Celtics. They made it to the finals for 1 year. Like this is the first year. Now I will say this though. This has only been 1 year that Brad Stevens has been the coach for the Celtics. I mean, not coach, the GM for the Celtics. And I think it was either the first or the second season, the 2008 season. Celtics made it to the finals and I think won the thing. But they haven't been able to do it since then. I think to answer that question, maybe give them some credit now for what they've been able to do. But is he a better GM than he is a coach? He's going to have to have more years under his belt to be able to answer that question. Stevens was the coach for 6 years. So, yeah, I think his first year, if I'm not mistaken, he was able to win a title. Or he was close to it. Now I'm going to have to look that up.
There's this movie I actually watched, I think it was last year or 2020, but it took place around the time the Boston Celtics went to the finals. It was Uncut Gems. But yeah, it was about Adam Sandler, and he had to actually make a bet, and he had to pay back his debts, which eventually he bet on the Boston Celtics to win the game, and they did win the game. But even despite that, he got shot, despite him getting the money. So I'm like, what in the world?
I'm looking it up right now. I think he has won championship title under his belt as a coach. But I'm looking.
Chuck Thomas says Stevens was coach for 6 years.
Okay, yeah, I think that's right. So now going in and talking about this year's roster. I mean, this year's finals appearance. Kevin Durant is not there because
he said he wanted to win a ring with the Nets.
The Warriors bring in Jordan Poole, and they also have Andrew Wiggins from the Timberwolves. They're playing the Boston Celtics this year. Warriors have experience under the belt. They have a couple of championships under the belt. Celtics do not. I think the Celtics are a little bit of a younger team than the Warriors are.
It's the Warriors dynasty.
Do you think the Warriors are going to win this?
Warriors in 6.
I'm saying 7, but I'm agreeing with you.
Based on how well they played against Dallas, I think the Golden State Warriors are going to win.
Yes, but Celtics know how to play some defense.
That is true.
And really, the Nuggets do not. Grizzlies, a little bit. And the Mavericks, sorry, but no, not really.
I see the Mavericks making the Western Conference Finals, personally, as a Mavericks fan, next year.
I can see that if they're able to get an additional star. Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, especially what they did to Phoenix this year.
Yeah,
We
yeah. I
made a
think
whole
Phoenix is
team
going
write
to
a
blow the
statement.
roster up. The Warriors have experience in the belt. That's why I'm giving the Warriors the victory here. Um, and it's mostly with the addition of Jordan Poole and the exception of Kevin Durant.
Jordan Poole is
It's
actually
mostly the
pretty
same
good.
roster. Mostly the same roster.
Is Andrew
And
Wiggins going to be the next Kevin Durant?
Andrew Wiggins, no. No. Now, one other question. Do you think the Warriors are facing an easier opponent?
Hmm?
Do you think the Warriors are facing an easier opponent in the finals? Because the only two teams they faced in the finals are the Cavaliers with LeBron James and the Toronto Raptors, which they lost.
Yeah, because every Warriors player got injured.
It was Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant.
Kevin and Clay
And
both got
that's
injured
true
that
too.
series, I think.
The Celtics are exhausted because they've been at 2 7-game series.
I think the Warriors will have an easier opponent in the Celtics.
Yeah, and Warriors in 7. That's what I see it this being. Sorry to all the Celtics fans out there, but I don't think this year is your year.
This is what Chuck says. I'm giving Warriors the advantage because Celtics are exhausted. 2 back-to-back 7-game series. And Chuck, that was the way it was for Dallas. Dallas was also pretty exhausted when they played. It was right after they played Phoenix when they got to Golden State. They were
Yeah,
actually pretty
fair.
exhausted.
That's a good point. Now, going into the last topic of the night, National Football League. Now, for those that missed last week's show, there's a weekly segment that I'm doing, and Cole was in this last one. He's also in this one as well. Power at National Football Power Rankings. We each are going to give 8 at a time, 8 teams at a time, and we have we're going to give like who we think are our own, 17 to 24. Who do we think deserves to be in that rank? Now, to review from last week, my number 32 to number 25 are Chicago Bears as the worst team in the NFL. New York Giants. No, sorry. That's you as number 31. Houston Texans as my 31. Seattle Seahawks, the Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, now the New York Giants, Detroit Lions, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Your number 32 through number 25 are the New York Jets as your number 32, the New York Giants as your number 31, the Jacksonville Jaguars as your number 30, the Miami Dolphins as your number 29. Your number 28 was the New Orleans Saints. Your number 27 was the Washington Commanders. Your number 26 was the Philadelphia Eagles. And your number 25 was the Cleveland Browns. Now,
my number 24.
Now, since you go first because I went first last time.
I
go
really
first, and I
want
will
to put
bring it
this
in.
team as my 24th team. This is the Cleveland Browns.
You already said the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, I did. Damn it. I keep
Last
forgetting.
week is your number 25.
Which teams have I not mentioned? I'm very bad at memory.
Okay. So in the NFC, so the Jets, the Texans, the Jaguars, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Commanders, the Eagles, and the Cleveland Browns are the teams that you did mention last week.
All right. I gotta think a long list. I think for my number 24 team, it's gonna be the Patriots.
I'm not surprised.
What about you?
And my number 4, the reason why I don't have this team lower is because I really, really like how they drafted their roster this year. How they made their draft. Otherwise, I would put it lower. And that's the New York Jets.
You think the New York Jets are 24?
Yeah. Yeah. You had them as your number 32, but I'm putting them as my number.
That's a surprise.
And then it's still loading, by the way. Why don't you go for your number 23?
My number 23 is... I don't know if I said the Texans already.
Actually, I don't think you did, which I'm kind of surprised.
I'm going to go ahead and put the Texans.
Hold on. No, you did not.
All right, putting the Texans as my 23. You?
My number 23 is another team that you put in way lower than 23. They play in the NFC East, but they are not the Philadelphia Eagles.
It better not be my boys.
No, it's not, because you put in way lower than what I have them, and you haven't mentioned your Dallas Cowboys yet. It's the Washington Commanders.
That I could agree with, but their main issue
One-
for Washington Commanders is going to be Carson Wentz.
The one player that they added, really, it's the same roster this year, except for they added one big key piece. It's pretty, and that's Carson Wentz. Now, if he is, and like the MVP Carson Wentz that we saw when he played for Philly, this might be another Cincinnati Bengals like surprise comeback that we saw last year.
Yeah, the Bengals were honestly shockingly good.
Uh-huh. And so I could see this being a potential. I said the same thing for the Lions, but I can see this being a potential surprise, a surprise team this year. And
I
so,
could honestly agree with you.
all right, what is your number 22?
My number 22. You're going to hate me for this one. It is your favorite team.
Oh, gosh.
The Denver Broncos. I could honestly see the Denver Broncos making the wild card. I honestly could see that, but I think they are going to lose.
And then,
what about you?
My number 3, and The only reason why I don't have this team lower is because who their head coach is.
Wait, what is
No,
it?
it's not the New England Patriots. It's Pittsburgh.
Who do you think Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh Steelers. And only reason I only put Pittsburgh this high, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. The one thing they can do well is their defense is not elite as it once was, but it's solid. I can't tell you who their starting wide receiver is. Quarterback options is their quarterback this year is Mitchell Trubisky.
Who should be better than Ben Roethlisberger?
Prime Ben Roethlisberger? No. Ben Roethlisberger in the past 2 years? Yeah. He's on a new roster that I like better than his Chicago Bears roster, especially the past couple of years. So this is gonna tell a lot about how Mitchell Trubisky's season is gonna go. So I'm going with Pittsburgh.
We're on 21 now, right?
Yeah, we're on 21.
I want to say, have I mentioned the Bears?
No, you did not.
My number 21 team is going to be the Chicago Bears.
My number 21, it's very similar to my number 20. Not my number 20, my number 22.
It also better not be my Colts.
No, it's not. Plays in the AFC, like the Pittsburgh Steelers. And to tell you the truth, besides the fact that they can run well, only thing I like about this team is their coach. They made the playoffs last year, like the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And lost?
Lost, yes.
Green Bay Packers.
No. It's the New England Patriots. They can run well. That's not even an argument. But
they still got to work with Mac Jones, though.
Yeah, that's the thing about Mac Jones. He's serviceable. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I think, really, I seriously think Mac Jones is going to have a rougher season. Bill Belichick is a really good coach that is not great at drafting. It's terrible when it comes to the draft. I think New England is really going to have a harder year because the only thing they can do, like I said before, the only thing they can do is run the ball well. All right, what's your number 20?
My number 20. This one's going to be a hard one.
I just realized my number 20, number 21. Oops. Number 21 and number 23. I didn't put who was next to it, but I think I will figure it out when I post these later.
My number 20, I want to say, is the Minnesota Vikings.
I'm not mad about that.
You?
My number 20 might be a surprise to some people, except for you. because you have this team way lower. They have a lot of speed on the roster. Their wide receivers can run fast. Their running back can run fast. But they have Tua as their quarterback, and that's Miami Dolphins.
I knew it had something to do
concern
with Miami.
Is that they've done a couple of practices. Miami's thrown to Tyreek Hill, and which is okay. But there really hasn't been any shoulder pads, helmets, or full gear on when they do these practices. And when they throw, they're not playing against any other. They're not throwing. They're not competing against any other NFL defense that goes on around them. This team is going to have a rough start. And I do not like Tyreek Hill as much as other people do.
Tyreek Hill, as I think you've mentioned this before, he's fast.
He's fast, yes.
But he has problems with catching the ball.
There is only one NFL player that has more drop passes than he does. But the other NFL player has been the guy throwing to Tyreek Hill. That's Patrick Mahomes. He actually has the most drop passes as a wide receiver in the NFL with 13. Yes, more passes have been thrown to him, but he struggles to throw the ball. Only route he can run is not even a real route, and that's a curve route. It's not even a real route. You don't see Usain Bolt trying to catch a football. So I have Miami.
That I can agree with, honestly. All right, what number are we at now?
19.
19. I'm gonna go ahead and put the Arizona Cardinals.
Actually, that's the first NFL team where you and I had the same team as that ranking.
I mean, what would you have to say about Arizona?
They digressed. They've traded way too much. Well, they've traded way too much. They did, however, get Marquise Brown, which isn't bad. It's not terrible. But then you
Could be worse.
But then you find out that DeAndre Hopkins is not going to be playing for the first 6 weeks. They have a coach, Cliff Kingsbury, which is a solid first half coach, but digresses once the second half of the season turns around. In fact, he was that same way in college. So, yeah, number 22 for the both of us is the Cardinals.
I thought we were at 19 already.
Yeah, not number 22. And Chuck brings up a good point. Chuck Thomas brings up a good point. Kyler Murray has been having his strong, especially since the beginning of the season. Yeah, it's number 19.
Yeah, Kyler Murray has always had a strong start. It's just when it comes time to playoffs, I think that's when he starts to get a little bit cocky.
I would say more like week 8.
Like, I think it's just a matter of overconfidence.
But I don't think it's a Kyler Murray problem. I think that's a Cliff Kingsbury problem.
All right, who's your 18th?
You're not gonna like this one.
What is it?
It's Cowboys.
Boo.
Fair point again. Chuck Thomas says that Kyler Murray's like 5'9". He is really short. Bringing back to the Dallas Cowboys statement. Dak Prescott signed a big contract a few years ago.
But that contract actually got reconstructed a little bit.
Yes, I get that. But as time goes on, I think that really this team is going to get worse and worse.
That I can't agree with because Dallas is going to struggle to pay the offensive line, and that's going to be a huge
Offensive
issue.
line it's going to be an issue this year. You
It
lost
will be.
Amari Cooper, which
sucks.
I get that. He's not really my favorite wide receiver in the world, but he has been able to help you guys out a lot.
I mean, we do have a wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb, so
CeeDee Lamb, yeah.
he should be able to shine this year. He is the number one receiver this year.
Yes. Yes, now DeMarcus Lawrence, never healthy. Ezekiel Elliott is getting older. Now, Ezekiel Elliott has been digressing too, because Elliott, each year progresses, he's been losing yardage through the season.
Yeah, that's because he's so used to getting paid.
Except for, I think, this last season, but that's only because there's been an 18th game.
Chuck, I've actually been at work during those times, so I haven't been able to really catch the first 8 games of the season. But I do watch some of the games.
No, I think he's talking about this coming up season, which I'm going to pull it up real quick. The Dallas Cowboys. Hold on, real quick. Dallas Cowboys in the first upcoming 8 games, they play the Buccaneers, which that's going to be rough. That's going to be a loss. Bengals, that's going to be a loss. Giants, that's going to be your first win for your team. Commanders, I can see that going anyway, to be honest with you.
Hey, Nate.
Rams?
I know you're going to hate me for this, but this is what I actually am going to do in Indiana.
What?
You know how gambling is legal there, right?
Uh-huh.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Caesars that's close to me, and I'm going to predict how Dallas' season is going to go. All on one parlay.
Good luck.
So, here's what I am predicting for Dallas. I am predicting the loss to Tampa. But I am predicting a win against the Bengals and the Giants.
No, that's not going to happen.
You think Joe Burrow might do something to Dallas?
Yeah. There's one thing I don't like about that roster, which I'll talk about it when the Bengals are on that ranking.
And then I also have Dallas winning against Washington.
I think you guys might split it.
It depends. Dallas may win the first game, and then Dallas also may lose the second game later on in the season.
So who do you have as your number 18?
I'm gonna say the Green Bay Packers. Sorry, y'all.
I actually have that way higher, but I will.
Aaron Rodgers making another playoff run. He's old.
Again, I did the same thing. I forgot to bring up who has it for each team, but I just remember mine goes first, yours is second for the stuff. 17. All right, 17 for me. 17 for me. Hold on, somebody's calling me. Sorry about that.
Answer and see their opinion. I'm gonna text Logan real quick. Tell him I'm on call with you. All right, let's resume, Nate.
So sorry about that. Somebody called me, and I went to go take care of that. But so Giants play the Monday night in New York. LOL. Coming off a loss to Tampa and the Bengals, you're right. Yeah, that's honestly the first win for me. The Cowboys will win that game.
I could honestly argue with that. It'll be a good game for sure, though. Either way.
My number 17.
Hey Chuck, read them boys.
The guy that got hired as their head coach is coached as an NFL head coach before, but didn't do very well. I'm honestly not a big fan of him as a head coach, but I do like what they did this offseason in terms of free agency, trades, etc. I think this team could be a potential wildcard team, but there's no way I think they're going to win the division.
What is it?
Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders.
Did I already say the Las Vegas Raiders higher up in my list?
You have the Raiders higher on your list?
I don't remember if I did or not.
Okay. I can't say that because you definitely don't have them lower.
I'm going to go ahead and put the Raiders as 17th as well.
That's another one that's is the same. Is the same for the both of us.
Well, Nate, I'm going to go hop off and play Logan and Madden.
We still have two more. Well, actually, that is... No, never mind. Next week is for number 9 to number 16. But that pretty much about wraps the show. Tomorrow, be going live, actually probably a couple of hours earlier, right after the Real Talk show has ended. And I'll be going live to be covering some Major League Baseball, also some National Hockey League, and some lacrosse as well. So make sure to stay tuned in for coverage for baseball, lacrosse, and hockey. Thoughts on the playoffs for that, for hockey and lacrosse and Major League Baseball with the 20-5, which I kind of thought was a little surprising. Stay tuned again. It's been another episode of the Sports Status Podcast, and stay tuned in for more information, more coming up.
Shanig, man. Fuck with ASAP Sports Network, man. Tune in, stay logged in, and stay mouthed in. You dig? Yuck mouth. Yada da. Boy!
Hey, I'm straight up off the block, hopped in the phone, pushed the top back. I've been hustling for a long time and I can't stop that. Big like I'm that, best believe it, and them all back. Yeah, I be ballin' all the time, I'm point guard and a quarterback.